Hello folks, in this guide video I'm going to take a look at the mounts which are available from Dragonflight dungeons. These dungeons are now fully soloable and some can even be done in follower mode, so it's a good time to head back and pick up those mounts that you may have missed out on at the time. The dungeon mounts for Dragonflight are actually quite unusual in their acquisition methods, as none of them are direct boss drops. This does mean that with one exception, they are very likely to require far fewer runs to obtain than you might be used to from other expansions. First up is the Ivory Trader's Ottuk. This mount is sold by the vendor Ottuk in Iskara in the Azure Span, but obtaining it requires that you bring the vendor 3 rings. The first ring, the Thunderous Downburst ring, drops from the Raging Tempest boss in Ohn'ahra Offensive in any difficulty. Ohn'ahra allows you to do every boss except the final boss in any order, so you can just go straight to Tempest and then leave the dungeon for another run if you want to. That said, the final boss in Ohn'ahra does drop a currency for a different mount, which I'll cover shortly, so you may want to do a full clear to tick off 2 birds with 1 stone. The second ring is the Unstable Arcane Loot, which drops from Lemur, the first boss in the Azure Vault, again on any difficulty. And the third ring, the Platinum Star Band, drops from Veximus in Algathar Academy, again on any difficulty. And just as with Ohn'ahra Hold, it is possible to go to Veximus first. All of these rings have around a 25% drop rate, so even without Legacy Loot Mode, it should hopefully not take you too many runs to get them all. And as you can do the runs on normal difficulty, you can do multiple runs of the same dungeon in the same day, up to the hourly instance lockout of 10. And yes, these runs are quick enough that you are very likely to hit that lockout if you're fast enough. Once you get the rings, just take them over to Iskara to Ottuk and hand them in to get your mount. Mount number 2 is the Divine Kiss of Ohn'ahra, which technically is more of a puzzle quest mount, but I'm including it here as it does require you to do a few runs of Ohn'ahra Offensive. This mount is unusual in that when you mount up on it, you are shapeshifted into the mount similar to Janny or the Sandworn Drake. Unfortunately though, it is not a passenger carrier. Now, starting this mount does have 2 major prerequisites. First of all, you need to reach renown 25 with the Maruk Centaur. And secondly, you need to have completed a quest line, which itself unlocks access to another mount, Lizi. You don't actually need to obtain Lizi, just complete the lead-in quest line, but given we're so close, I'll take a quick segue and run through how to get Lizi as well. First of all, you need to reach renown 9 with the Maruk Centaur, and then head over to initiate Raja at this location in the Ohn'ahra Plains, and pick up the quest Sneaking In, and then follow that quest line through to completion. Once that's done, the following day, Raja will begin to offer you a new daily quest to tame a Thunderspine. There are 5 of these quests in total, and each requires 150 Dragon Isle supplies and a particular item that will mainly drop from open world enemies, or which you can buy in the auction house. The one exception to that is the final day 5 quest, which requires you to get Meloon's green curry, which you can buy from Ohn'ahra, who is located here. Completing the day 5 quest will award you with Lizi, one of the few Kodo mounts that are available to the Alliance. But now let's get back to the Divine Kiss of Ohn'ahra. Once you reach renown 25 with the Maruk Centaur and have completed Raja's quest line, you will then need to obtain 3 Stolen Breaths of Ohn'ahra. These drop from the final boss in Ohn'ahra Offensive, Balakar Khan. The items appear to be around a 30% drop rate, and you can only get 1 per hour, so expect to have to do a few runs of the dungeon. Once you have those 3 Divine Breaths, you can head over to Godolotto here, who will offer you a quest called the Whispering Breeze. As well as those breaths you already have, this will require you to get 2 other items. Firstly, a tier 3 Exultant Essence, which can be crafted by alchemists. If you're going to make this for yourself, you need to have renown 22 with the Centaur to get the recipe, and then reach 50 alchemy and about 250 skill points that you spend in incenses. It can also be traded on the auction house, so if you don't want to invest into Dragonflight alchemy, you can just head over and buy yourself one. Final item is an Essence of Awakening. This can be purchased from the Quartermaster in Marut for 1 occasional sand and 50 Dragon Isle supplies. The occasional sand drops from enemy NPCs over at the Temporal Conflux area, and it has about a 10% drop chance, so it can take a little while to farm out. Once you have all of the items, just head back to Godolotto and hand them in. Just be careful not to click on that Essence of Awakening, as that will consume the item, forcing you to get another. And finally, we have one of the most unusual mount items in the game, the Reins of the Quantum Courser. This item, instead of awarding you with a specific mount, has a guaranteed chance to award you a mount. The biggest standout in the list of available mounts is the Infinite Time Reaver, which is likely to be one of the rarest mounts in the game. This does have a chance to drop from any time walking dungeon boss, along with the special reward chest for clearing a time walking raid. But despite so many sources, its drop rate is exceptionally low. Now, it is worth saying that the Time Reaver does seem to have a much lower chance to show up from this item than the other mount. But one good thing is that this item will only ever drop a mount that you don't already have. The item itself has a 1% chance to drop from the final boss in the Dawn of the Infinite Mega Dungeon. Now, according to the Dungeon Journal, this can drop from either Heroic or Mythic difficulty. However, there has been some debate if it does indeed drop from Heroic. There was a developer interview which has suggested that it doesn't drop from Heroic difficulty, and Wowhead has no data for it dropping on Heroic. But on the other hand, there are a few very sparse comments on Wowhead that do claim that it has been seen to drop. My own personal suspicion is that if it does drop from Heroic difficulty, then it will be with a much lower drop rate than the drop rate from Mythic, which means that for the most part, it is advisable to run this dungeon on Mythic difficulty if you want to get the mount item. It is worth saying that the Iridicorn encounter can be very challenging to solo in Mythic difficulty, as he does an attack called Stonecracker Barrage on Chromie that you need to sometimes keep her alive through, which means that if you cannot burst him down before that attack, you will likely need to spec into a healing specialization or protection paladin in order to keep her up. The good news is that if you have Season 2 War Within gear or better, you shouldn't have too much difficulty bursting them down fast enough in a DPS specialization. However, if you do find yourself struggling, my advice would be to either bring a friend or, failing that, to wait until you have some more gear in Season 3. And that's it for the dungeon mounts of Dragonflight. Now, if any of you have actually seen the Quantum Courser drop from Heroic difficulty, then do let us know in the comments down below. And also, if you have any tips or tricks on doing the Dawn of the Infinites, especially that Iridicorn fight, then do sound off as well. If you found this guide useful, fun, or even just plain annoying, then do let me know by hitting that like icon. And if you want to support my channel and find out whenever a new video of mine goes live, then hit that subscribe button right now before you forget. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.